Hi guys, welcome to our talk here. We are West Red Lake Gold Mines. My name is Amandip Singh. I'm the VP of Corporate Development. I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd and some faces we hope to like to add to our West Red Lake family, and love to have you guys as shareholders. In terms of the vision of our company, we wanted to create effectively the most significant pure play Red Lake focused exploration and development story. We'll go through this a recent transaction that we made, but with our recent transaction, that vision is becoming more and more of a reality, as we are arguably the most significant junior player in the area. In terms of on our acquisition, the value proposition there, we wanted to make an accretive acquisition that gave the company multiple paths forward to create value. With the acquisition of the Madsen mine, we've got a permitted mine with no debt, modern infrastructure, a robust resource open to expansion in all directions, and it's arguably in one of the best and safest jurisdictions in the world, and that's Red Lake, Ontario. In terms of the transaction considerations, we acquired the Madsen project for $6.5 million cash, $10 million in stock, and we issued a 1% royalty in favor of Sprott Resource Lending. We did concurrently launch a financing and had an overwhelming amount of demand. We finally closed on $25 million after receiving over $50 million in demand on the deal. When you look at that and you look at that demand that we got from the investment community, I think it really showed a positive buy-in to our vision and what it is that we're trying to achieve and our path forward. Because I can assure you, acquiring a project like Madsen, it for sure comes with its skeptics and questions. And us, before we walked into that acquisition, we asked ourselves the same things. The word transformative is thrown around a lot, but this truly, in our opinion, was a transformative acquisition. 3 weeks ago, West Red Lake, we had a third the ounces, we had half the land position, and certainly didn't have the $273 million in tax assets. So in this acquisition, we've just overnight grown the company tremendously. At one point in time, the Madsen mine, it commanded a peak market cap of north of $1 billion, and we look to recapture all of that, if not more. All right. This just gives you a sense of wow. That was all right. This gives you a sense of our project portfolio. We've got the Rowan project, is what was originally part of West Red Lake, and the Madsen Gold project. Again, it just shows you how close the two projects are. They're 15 kilometers apart from one another. And as we move this project forward, we look to develop certain synergies and then hopefully exploit them as we move it forward. What you're looking at here, this is a map of the Madsen project. What you're seeing in red there is effectively the current resource. That's the surface expression of the resource. But really, what I'm trying to illustrate with this is, one, if you look at our neighbors, a number of past producing mines, a number of deposits in the area, but there's 47 square kilometers of ground, and the bulk of the drilling has been in and around the existing Madsen mine site. So again, we have the ability to add ounces near mine and certainly on a regional scale. In terms of, I mentioned it before, we are the benefactors of significant investment to date. Over $350 million has been invested into this, and having been there and seen the infrastructure, this is second to none. This was a world-class mine that was developed by the guys, and I think when the previous operators won Developer of the Year that year, their work is clearly demonstrated in what it is that we managed to acquire. And this is the new mill. This is effectively the crown jewel of it. $80 million was spent on the mill there. Nameplate capacity of 800 tons per day. With modest investment, we can increase that to 1,500 tons per day. And again, when you look at the production records from Pure Gold, despite what happened with that story, regardless of the grade that was put through this mill, they had always achieved north of 95% recoveries. So again, it is a brilliantly engineered piece of equipment, and we couldn't be happier to get it. Again, to address, I suppose, the elephant in the room, or questions that a lot of the investment community will have, really, these are questions we asked ourselves too. What went wrong with the previous operators, and what are we going to do differently? I think when we did a deep dive into how the project was financed and how it was put together, we noticed that, everything that was done there was geared towards a sale process. In fact, people that are closer to the project, they'll know that there were a number of competing bids at the time to acquire Pure Gold at the time, but that drove a certain operating culture. Certain capital expenditures, they were pushed into the operating costs. For instance, primary crushers were not owned by the company. They were rented. The fleet that was rented, the camp was rented. When we acquired this project, we were able to put a 1% royalty on the project in favor of Sprott Resource Lending. Again, these are just indicators showing where management's sort of focus was at the time. And when that sale process didn't go through with very restrictive debt covenants, you're forced to put into a project into production on time, on budget, and oftentimes you have some missteps. In terms of what we're going to do, you guys know in this business there are two luxuries that are not often afforded to companies. Those luxuries being the luxury of time and the luxury of a robust balance sheet. Well, we here at West Red Lake, through our supportive shareholders, happen to have those. We acquired the project. We do not have any restrictive debt covenants. We are given the luxury of time to de-risk the project in the most effective and most appropriate way. And we have a balance sheet. We just recently we raised $25 million. We're gonna when all that is said and done, we'll have a treasury position of about $20 million. And again, as we advance this thing, there will be more capital required. And I think the group of investors, especially led by gentlemen like Frank Justra and a number of other mining entrepreneurs, I think we have the ability to continue financing this. But when it comes to what it is that we're going to do, our primary focus will be de-risking the resource. So 70% of our drilling is going to be focused on resource expansion. 30% of that drilling is going to go towards infill drilling and filling in a lot of those geologic gaps that existed in the resource. Given a significant level of comfort and when we feel appropriate, that is when the restart planning will happen, and hopefully we look to execute sometime down the road a restart and bring Madsen back to a new, improved Madsen back to even greater heights than it once was. To give you a sense of the near mine potential, what you're seeing here is the resource. The Derlac Zone, Austin, South Austin, these are high-grade zones that have been drilled closer to surface, but they are, just the nature of ore bodies in Red Lake. There's steeply plunging deposits that theoretically go down, to the core of the earth, I guess, right? That's just the nature of Archean greenstone belts. But we look to drill the Derlac Zone, South Austin extension. To put that into perspective, the Austin Zone was, in fact, when you look at the tail end of the operating history of Pure Gold, the Austin Zone was that higher grade material that they were finally getting into. And if you look at the August 2022 quarter, it was a record quarter for Pure Gold. And had they not run out of money, we perhaps would not have had this opportunity to do what it is that we're trying to do. In terms of the infill drilling, what you're seeing here is what we've circled, that lower grade, that just is a sense of some of the pitfalls that the previous operators had. That it's the lowest grade part of the mine, but it is also closest to surface. And with that sort of rush to deliver a mine on time and on budget, that was where they were sourcing the majority of their ore, and that is the lowest grade part of that deposit. For us, we're going to focus on the high grade. What we've circled there is high grade. That's the Austin Zone. And already internally, we've got about 500,000 ounces at 9 grams, and we look to increase the confidence and the size of that. In terms of, just to summarize what it is that we're going to do at Madsen, it's quite simple. We're going to, first priority is improve the ongoing costs. Having being a mine, we would like to keep it in care and maintenance, but bring that cost down to the lowest possible level that will still maintain our active permits. We are reviewing and developing additional drill targets to increase those resources. We're going to initiate that program. Obviously, ESG is very important to us. We're going to continue class-leading ESG initiatives. We have hired a new VP of Community Relations, a gentleman by the name of Derek Teven. We do deal with 2 First Nations there. And, additionally, what we're going to do is focus on growth. The ounces that we don't find with the drill bit, we are happy to go out and buy those ounces. And I think our last transaction demonstrates our ability to do so. And that's the Madsen project. We'll quickly go through the other project that we had, and then we'll save some time for questions. Our original project was the Rowan mine. There's 830,000 ounces of high-grade resource there, 100% owned, 1.5 kilometers of strike, open in all directions. We do have the ability to make a pretty significant discovery of, if you look at the Great Bear Resources success story, they had that bulk mineable sort of mineralization, and you know, in our NT zone, we do see the ability to potentially make a discovery of that nature. Here's just a geology map of the area of Rowan. Again, what you're seeing here is it's a series of mafic and ultramafic assemblages with quartz veins with low sulfidation, and that's usually where you find the gold. This is just some regional cross-cutting structures that we have, and again, you have concentrations of gold where large regional structures are intersected by more local east-west trending structures. This is our block model at Rowan. As you can see, these are steeply dipping ore shoots that are high grade in nature. In terms of our targets, we've got the Red Summit target, Mount Jamie mine target, Rowan. These are Red Summit, Mount Jamie, and Rowan. They're past producing mines that comprise the Rowan project. In terms of our plan there, we're doing a phase 1, phase 2 drill program that is currently underway. There's 17,000 meters of drilling being done at Rowan. Putting that into perspective, the existing resource that exists there was built on about 20,000 meters of drilling. So just in our very first aggressive season of drilling, we will nearly double the drill database. And yeah, that's our story. And we thank you for coming out and hearing our pitch. And if there's any questions, I think we've got a bit of time for that. And
so this was really quick. Do we have questions?
How big is the stake of Frank?
So Frank Juicer is 18.1%. Correct. Yes.
You now got 20 million around?
So we will, as of Monday, or that would be in 2 days, have 20 million in treasury. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Maybe you should say at what price Frank Juicer got in, because we're getting in now at not too.
Yeah, so certainly. So you know what, Claude, that's a great question. So, you know, oftentimes you have these mining entrepreneurs and you try to get in at a level that's similar to their entry point. Mr. Juicer, his original investment was roughly a 40-cent flow through, which equates to about 35 cents. So the last financing that we just did at 35 cents is a similar cost base to Mr. Juicer. So you truly are co-investors with him at this point in time. Yeah. I certainly couldn't have addressed everyone's concerns. There's got to be questions. No?
Maybe just the next steps. What will we see? So the next 12 months?
So as I mentioned, we do have the ongoing drill program at Rowan that's going on right now. But in the next 12 months, obviously finalize the acquisition here, strengthen the team. So we've already been strengthening that management team for the future of the company. We brought in our VP of exploration, comes from Coeur Mining. Kind of brings that big company pedigree. We brought on our VP of Technical Services just to get a sense of the engineering that we're going to be doing on the mine, a gentleman by the name of Maurice Mostart from SRK Engineering, who also was instrumental in a lot of the improvements at the Koshner Red Lake mining complex that Evolution has. So we're bringing someone with knowledge of that area. I don't like to brag about myself, but I was brought on, and that's a bit of new life to the company, and the final piece is we will be looking for a new CEO, and we are very close to announcing that gentleman. And I can assure you, whoever it will be, you people have all heard the name and are probably well familiar with that next leadership.
Interesting, great.
Awesome, guys! Thank you so much for having us.